Alright. I wish there was a better way for that to transition, but you work with what you can do. Anyway, hey guys, hey, it's me, it's Tech. Tech Chenko, how you guys doing? It's once again story time. For Witch of the Holy Night. I had a little bit of a lazier day than I wanted to. Today, we went to go watch a movie at like 12, let's say. And that was fine and fun, and it was a good movie. It was Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Good movie, but that's beside the point. When we got out, it was about like 2:30, maybe a little bit later than that. And me and my sister had a agreement. Because the household is me, my sister, my father, my mother. We all have an agreement. No, me and her have an agreement that at 5:30, I have to stop whatever I'm doing and go down and help with dinner, which is fine. It's like a normal thing that we all do. Our parents get Monday, Tuesday, and then we get Thursday, Friday, and Wednesday. Friday sometimes. You know what? We're losing track of the story. I wanted to. I was like, all right, cool. I have 2 hours to work more on the what's it called? Plain Arcadia story. Which, if you guys don't know, I'm doing kind of like a live posting. I guess that is tweeting what I'm doing on Twitter too. I'm working on like a live posting of me going through Plain Arcadia because the Star Rail story is really fun sometimes. Well, all the time. Well, I like the Star Rail story. Let's not give definitives. Hold on. Pardon me. So I wanted to devote like the 2 hours that I had kind of to myself that. But then I was like, oh man, I'm kind of sleepy after that movie and like food and stuff. So I was like, okay, well I'll take an hour sleep and then I'll wake up and then I'll do that again. And then I slept the whole 2 hours and I'm like, realistically speaking, not much was lost, honestly. I still have plenty of time today, not today, but tomorrow, the day after, etc., to do whatever I want. And today just so happened to be a day that I spent predominantly with my family, which is not a bad thing. But I don't like when I personally make a plan and then just don't follow through with it. It bugs the hell out of me. But it's nobody's fault but mine. And then I touched on something else that I wanted to talk about, but I totally forgot what it was. So, yeah. Oh shit! I should have done that before. What was I doing earlier? I did one more map on Extella to grind, Fate Extella to grind. Yeah, whatever. Oh, you know what? I said that I wasn't going to. I have one of my servers, one of my Discord servers that I'm in with some friends. It's kind of like my my Star Rail server. This is what it kind of became. You know what? Whatever. I want to get to this actually. Sometimes I feel like I don't give this as much time as it should have. Why don't we just get back to it? That's right. I stopped mid-chapter because I wasn't sure. Yeah. Just turn that up on myself so I can hear. I was like, I don't remember how they dealt with that. They didn't. Not yet, anyway. And besides, it was hostile to me too earlier. You could tell how it was glaring at me. I could tell how. No. And besides, it was hostile to me too earlier. I could tell by how it was glaring at me.
いや、一瞬でよく見えなかったけど、生きた心地しなかったな。 青崎も気をつけた方がいい。多分よっぽど怖い顔をしているに違いないぞ、あれ。
It happened so fast I didn't really get a good look at it, but it was really unsettling. You should be careful too, Azaki. That thing sure has a terrifying, disgusting, weird face.
それはご親切にどうも。
Gee, thanks.
うん。なんでこれはもう他人事じゃないんだ。
Anytime, Azaki. I mean, I can't pretend like it isn't happening to me.
青崎と人形。結論として、どっちが勝っても俺は殺されてしまうんじゃないか？
But whichever one of you wins, I'm dead man either way, right? Like,
そうね。そこまでやってるなら、目撃者は消すでしょうね。私みたいに。
can't argue with that. But it's only to go as far as seal off the entrance that I'd probably kill any witnesses as well. At least, that's what I'd do.
だろう。でも、俺はあいつには殺されたくない。
Right. And I don't want her to be the one that kills me.
え？
What are you talking about? His words were decisive. As Aoko looked up at him, she could swear that he was trying to encourage her. It was then that she realized... So, it's with a Y. Fuck, I can never remember how to spell his fucking name. Sojurouu was looking even worse than before.
ちょっと待って。大丈夫なのあなた。
Hey, are you okay?
まあ、醤油を一升瓶飲むよりはマシではないかと。
It's so weird. Why would you just fucking... Well, I'm better than if I'd drunk an entire bottle of soy sauce. He tried to make light of the situation, but his forehead was clearly drenched in sweat.
そうか。さっき人形に近づいたから。
Right. It was because he was close to the puppet just now. How could he possibly be able to withstand the curse that even made Aoko nauseous? She bit her lip, annoyed at herself for not noticing this earlier. Sojurouu was such an airhead that she hadn't even paused to consider his plight.
下で隠れていようとか思わなかったの？その方がどう考えても安全でしょ？
Why didn't you think about trying to hide in the basement? That would have been the safest bet, wouldn't it? She really couldn't understand him at all.
それは青崎が言うセリフじゃないな。
You really should take your own advice sometimes, Aozaki.
でもまあ、長話をしている時間もない。そろそろ追いついてくる頃だ。
But hey, there's no time to be chatting. She can catch up at any moment. He turned to look down the corridor. The crackling sound of a music box could be heard creeping forth from the darkness.
さっき1階にて考えたんだ。君がやられても俺は殺される。なら、まず奴をどうにかするべきだ。
I was thinking about this while I was on the first floor earlier. If that kills you, I'm next. That's why we should deal with that first.
あなた、何が言いたいの？
What are you getting at? She asked the question to which she already knew the answer. She did it to put him to the test. If he wavered even a little, she would have killed him where he stood.
提案。あいつをやっつけるのに協力したら、俺のことを見逃してくれる？
My proposal is that if I agree to help you kill that thing, will you let me go?
助けられたぐらいじゃ信念は曲げないって言ったでしょ？
I thought I'd make it clear that helping me wasn't going to change my mind.
それに、あなたに何ができるっていうの？
And besides, what do you think you're going to do to it anyway?
それは青崎が考えてくれ。得意だろ、そういうの。
Oh, that's your end of the bargain, Azaki. This is your area of expertise, right? The commander who had the overall picture was responsible for delegating roles to their teammates. It was futile to depend on someone who was unable to grasp the situation or evaluate the enemy's strength. Sojurouu was proud to share that he knew this. He spoke the truth. Aoko was the only one who knew both Sojurouu and the automaton. That was why he pointed out that following her orders to the best of his ability was the only thing he could do. It may have seemed as though Sojurouu had surrendered his capacity for self-thought, but in escaping that he was helpless, he was in fact giving Aoko his complete trust.
じゃあ私の指示に100%従うってこと？
Fine then. So you'll do 100% of anything I tell you to?
ああ、それにこれは恩とか義理の話じゃない。
Sure. Yeah, and just so you know, I'm not doing this out of a sense of obligation or anything.
一人だと分が悪いから二人でかかるだけだ。善意でも行為でもない。取引って言わないか、こういうの。
It's just obvious that neither of us had a chance on our own. This isn't goodwill or kindness, it's a transaction. His eyes sparkled as if he was bartering in its truest form. As if it was bartering in its truest form. Oh my god. This child must have learned that from Tobimaru, Aoko thought. Though she refused to let him see it, she smiled inwardly. Sure, he had gotten the best of her just now, but there were times when defeat was not the worst outcome in the world.
労働と報酬ってわけね。それなら理にかなってる。
Honest pay for honest work. Makes sense.
言いたくないけど。
And I hate to admit it, but... She relaxed her shoulders and sighed. Her face cracked into a wicked grin, as if her fears had suddenly washed away.
それ結構私の好みよ。
Your plan is just my style. Aoko repaid Sojurouu's trust in equal measure. Sojurouu.
結構きついかもね。あなたの役目。
So you know this is going to be pretty tough for you. Aoko warned Sojurouu, moving fast as she could, without her footfalls causing a din of noise. Sojurouu remained near the center of the spiral maze on the second floor.
実を言うと、もう一つ用意しておいた仕掛けがあるの。
I'll let you in on a secret. I have one more trap up my sleeve.
自分でもやりすぎだって呆れたもんだけど、あなたがここに来るのが遅かったから。ちょっと興に乗っちゃって。
I think I might have gone overboard with this one, but when you didn't show up on time, I just couldn't help myself.
お？仕掛けって俺用の？
A trap? For me? Sojurouu tilted his head like a squirrel as Aoko freely discussed the final ace up her sleeve.
地下の柱に着火型のちょっとした魔術式を刻んでおいたの。中心の柱に点火することで連鎖的に他の柱に仕掛けた魔術も起動する。
You're gonna bring the whole fucking place down. This is a little overprepared for Sojurouu of all people, don't you think? As far as you know, he's like a normie. I engraved an ignition formula into the support pillars in the basement. If I ignite the central pillar, it'll start a chain reaction that'll ignite the
ジャミ
rest.
ングを食らう前に作ったものだから、直接魔力を叩き込めば一気にこういくわ。
I made it before that thing started jamming me, so if I infuse it with a bit of magical energy, it should go
う
boom.
ん。
Sojurouu was a little unsettled by how unclear that last bit was.
青崎、こうじゃわからない。できるだけ明確に、どこまで爆破する気だったのか白状してくれ。
Azaki, could you clarify something for me? I want to know just how much you were going to blow me up. Please be honest.
あと、もしかして俺、早まったか？
Also, did I make a mistake agreeing to team up with you?
いや、その単なる保険っていうか。
Sure. Don't be silly. It was just an insurance policy. Yeah.
追いかけっこの途中であんたを見失ったら、いっそ建物ごと爆破しちゃおうかなって。
I just thought that if I lost sight of you at any point, I could blow the whole building with you in it. What are you, fucking Kiritsugu? Jesus Christ. It was her policy to be thrown to a fault, after all. She laughed, embarrassed to hear herself say it out loud.
いくらなんでも徹底しすぎてる。
Don't you think that's a little overkill? Faced with Aoko's cruelty, Sojurouu forgot about the situation at hand and protested from the bottom of his heart.
何よ、いいじゃない。そのおかげでなんとかなりそうなんだから。
Stop complaining. At least now we have a way to fight back. She shot back. Aoko dashed down the corridor, mumbling things that probably would have set Sojurouu packing if he had heard them. The strategy was simple. Aoko would use the escape route to the right and avoid the puppet while making her way down to the basement. Upon reaching the central pillar, she would infuse the formula she had prepared with magical energy and escape. Once ignited, it would take about a minute for the chain reaction to spread throughout the whole House of Mirrors, and another minute for the building to collapse. She would be cutting it a little close, but because she had committed the maze to memory, she was sure that she could make it out in time. Aoko assumed that the chain reaction caused by the pillar would clear the barrier that the puppet had placed at the entrance. And even if it was strong enough to withstand the blast, it wouldn't be able to stay standing once the foundations buckled. Sojurou's escape was assured as long as the formula in the basement was activated. Next came the most important part. The automaton was at a disadvantage in the obstacle-laden House of Mirrors, and was unable to move at full speed. If it were near the center of the second floor when the building collapsed, it would be caught up and crushed by it. So the problem was keeping the puppet on the second floor until Aoko could make it down to the basement.
当てにしたからね、しずきくん。せめて3分ぐらいは引きつけて。
Counting on you, Suzuki. I just need you to keep it occupied for about 3 minutes. Ideally, he would have been able to keep it busy till she could activate the formula. If that failed to work, him luring it down to the first floor would be the next best thing. She understood perfectly well the danger she was putting Sojurouu in, but his lucky streak and running speed were nothing to scoff at.
ただ逃げるだけなら、もしかしてとんでもないことをしてくれるかも、あいつ。
As long as all he has to do is run, then maybe, just maybe he can actually pull this off. Aoko made her way through the hidden passage of the maze, her hopes pinned on Sojurouu. Meanwhile, well out of earshot, Sojurouu was readying himself for another desperate chase. He calmed his beating heart using a method of his own making. What mattered most was that he remained calm. The plan was simple enough. Aoko's orders were succinct and easy to understand.
10メートルぐらいの距離を保って、できるだけゆっくり通路を3、4周すること。
Keep a distance of around 30 feet and weave through the corridors as slowly as you can, about 3 or 4 times.
横道は鏡のつなぎ目で覚えて。ここなら左回りで6、3、7、2枚目にあるから、そこをぐるぐる回ってれば比較的安全よ。
Interesting. Count the mirrors as you move to locate the hidden passages. From here, they are on the 6th, 3rd, 7th, and 2nd mirrors counterclockwise. Use those and you should be relatively safe. It was essentially a looping marathon. As long as Sojurouu kept just enough distance from the puppet's extended arm to allow her to track him, she could continue to chase him indefinitely. She's kiting him, basically. Or he's kiting her, basically. Simple enough, though the task was, Sojurouu was putting his life on the line as bait. And then there was the final order to run as fast as he could to the exit when the building began to sway.
結構じゃなくて、かなりきついんじゃないかな、これは。
This is more than a little tough. He nervously stuck his head out from around the corner. You could hear the sound of the music box from the other side of the corridor. First, he had to make eye contact with it, and then head through the shortcut on the right and begin their game of tag. He spotted it and braced himself. Closer. Closer. Fearing that her arm could fly at him at any moment, he went over Aoko's instructions in his head. Wait. However, He couldn't quite remember which pane led to the first hidden passage. It was the 6th. Yeah. It was the 6th, 3rd, and 7th. The 3rd, the 6th, the 9th? Oh. No. He was sure that he was mistaken. He was confident he had it memorized moments ago, but his nerves had gotten the best of him, and his head was now spinning. Then Sojurouu realized that the sound of his pursuer was beginning to grow distant, and at an incredible speed. Oh shit.
何？
What's it doing now? The unusual silhouette of the puppet astonished him. Before it had taken the form of a beautiful girl, but now it made a bizarre transformation and returned to the first floor to pursue the primary target.
いや、それは。
Oh, this is not the plan. Sojurouu was no longer sure what to do. Before he'd even had time to mourn his failure, the puppet had vanished out of sight. Oh, shit. I'll help, so let me go. Or so he had said, but now he couldn't follow through.
さて、自分はこれからどうしよ
So, what am I supposed to do now? Alone, he tilted his head in frustration. He spoke to the darkness as if Aoko would be there to answer him. Brother. Meanwhile, downstairs, as soon as she arrived on the first floor, Aoko understood that what had transpired above her. Oh no. She didn't even have to strain her ears to hear the puppet. Even during its heyday, this attraction had never made sounds like the ones she had heard coming towards her now. It was the sound of despair, as if a horde of monstrous hedgehogs were scraping their way past the mirrors in her direction.
ドジ、3分どころか10秒持たないってどういうことよ。
That idiot! 3 minutes, he couldn't even last 10 seconds! Rather than buying her time, Sojurouu had instead stolen hers. He had one job, to run away. That was all! She cursed him under her breath.
複数の足音ってことは2足から多脚に切り替えたのね。
Multiple footsteps. So it switched from bipedal to multi-leg form? Swish from... The echoes made it sound like dozens of feet were approaching. Aoko's mind conjured an image of a giant 6-legged spider tearing its way down the corridor. Yoroguma? I wonder if that's what it said in the localized way. It was little wonder that it was so much faster than before. Its perception of its surroundings through echolocation was of particular use in the dark. Compared to sight-dependent humans, this automaton was far better equipped to navigate its way through the labyrinth of mirrors. If it could not keep pace earlier, then it had been because its bipedal mode was less maneuverable. Now the stability provided by multiple legs gave it a speed that far exceeded that of any human.
どうするどうするどうする。
What now? The thoughts spun out as she tried to come up with Plan B. All she knew for sure was that this was a pivotal moment. If she continued standing still, then she had seconds left at most. Even in her current state, she knew that she could easily neutralize the bounded field, blocking the entrance without casting a spell. All she had to do was feed a little bit of her own energy into her. Aoko could sprint with all her might for a little more than 3 minutes. The puppet had far more stamina than she did. She could only come up with 3 options. First was to escape through the exit in front of her. The second was to hide somewhere on the more complicated first floor. And the third was to run into the basement and be stuck like a rat in a trap.
なんだ、考えるまでもない。
Well, that's obvious enough. She made her decision with zero hesitation. moving her stiff legs again with determined strength. The oncoming storm was almost upon her. Her resolve firm, she turned and ran, descending into the darkness. No matter what, a finale should be glorious. That would be the Mirror Castle's final scene. 2 humans and a puppet. A young sorceress ran towards the subterranean heart of the castle, while an autonomous antique chased its prey into the depths of the demonic dungeon. And Sojurouu's there too somewhere. A minute later, a faint blue charge would ripple through the castle. This was the main pillar of the deepest depths of the basement. Though not critical to the castle's structure, the pillar was a visible symbol of it. The girl concentrated her magical energy into a fist and thrust it at the pillar. Time bomb. This was the blow that would bring down the castle. She imagined the destruction as she threw the punch, and that scene blossomed into reality seconds later. It was a simple ignition magecraft meant to release the condensed magical energy engraved into the 4 pillars at the corner of the structure. Using electricity as a switch meant virtually instantaneous activation. The dumb look on his face like, what's going on? Not his fault, though. It happened swiftly and elegantly. A hammer of destruction descended upon the Castle of Dreams that had stubbornly resisted its fate for 2 years. It was almost a joyous sound. Almost. And so, the lifeless and abandoned Castle of Mirrors set the stage for its final and most spectacular performance. Aoko's magical energy became an electrical charge. Got it there eventually. That activated the magecraft formula engraved into the pillar. The chain reaction would lead to the castle's destruction. You've served your purpose. It's been rough. Looks like you're going to collapse at any time now. Applause at the center of the basement. Aoko tried to steady her breathing while rotating her magic crest at full speed. She wreathed her arms in blue light, fully aware that she could no longer activate another formula. Her labored breathing refused to settle. She stood at the center of the basement. Without being spotted even once, she had managed to make it all the way to the central pillar. It was a 100-meter dash in 13 seconds flat, undoubtedly a new personal best. She spurred on her weakened heart, knowing full well what fate awaited for her. Can't help but follow me. Once down there, there'll be no escape. I really should have expected that. It was too much to expect that I could keep up the chase forever. Hindsight was 20/20. The castle was only a minute away from collapsing completely. If they stayed here, they would both be crushed by the rubble. The puppet certainly didn't care. With no life of its own, its sole concern was the elimination of its target, Aoko Elzaki. Indeed, the enemy had been willing to die from the start. She resented her own lack of resolve. It wasn't like her to tuck tail and run from an opponent that didn't fear death.
Ictius meus obitus dies, et meus nativus dies, Teobeum.
In slumber I live, in dirt I rot. Today is the day I died and was born. Now I come to you.
そもそも自爆覚悟じゃないあれ。
It's always been in a suicide mission, huh?
六足歩行とフィンの一撃は使いすぎよ。もう呪詛による魔力補給じゃ間に合わない。
Doesn't have the power enough juice to power the six-legged form of the fiend shots. Curses aren't recharging it fast enough. Such a perpetual motion device is only good as its ability to regulate its energy consumption. Using so many functions at once meant that it was burning through fuel quickly, and losing the ability to process the curses that powered it. It was using up all its functions that had been given to achieve its aim. This was the pride of a tool. If such things could have ego, those endowed with sentience could never hope to understand. A beast born to do nothing but run would burn away any human who faced its resolve.
ほんともったいない。
Kind of a waste when you think about it.
こういう無茶をするのは姉貴だけかと思ってたけど、いるところにはいるもんね。
I always thought my sister was the only one capable of something this reckless. Then I guess I was wrong. But Aoko did not intend to sacrifice play here. She respected her adversary now. She was done regretting her choices. There is no time to waste.
行くわよ。ここできっかり。
This is it. This ends now. Aoko had every intention of paying it back double for what it had done to her. The energy Aoko had accumulated exploded out of her right leg. She aimed for a single thing: a head-on attack. The enemy responded with a lethal curse that had reached for her heart, like a set of talons. Humming with power, it meant to rend Aoko's heart and burn itself out in the process. As soon as she saw it, oops, shit. Aoko kicked the floor as hard as she could. Her long hair swirled through the air as she flipped aside. This lateral move almost sent her tumbling to the ground, but a quick swing of her arm allowed her to regain her balance. A shot grazed her arm, the curse scorching her left shoulder. She did not flinch. Aoko knew she could hold on as long as she continued to avoid a direct fin shot. Snap! Off balance and in pain, it took half a second to recover. The moment she raised her hand, she deflected the attack with a fist full of magical energy. Here goes! If the puppet had a will of its own, its eyes would have popped right out of its sockets. It would have been floored, shocked at the strong will that allowed this girl to perform a series of moves like this. Crack! As the next one popped, Aoko's response was instantaneous. While her power was not insufficient to completely redirect the arm's trajectory, it was just enough to deflect it harmlessly past her hair. It was all a mistake. I should have never been born. Atone for me. Atone for me. Atone for me. The chant became a curse that robbed Aoko of her vitality. Did it still have something left in the tank? Or was it actually indignant? Whatever the reason, Aoko was easily able to resist the weakened defensive maneuver. Spin kick! Let's go. Lighter! I can't yell. And her right leg, pulsing with magical energy, shot up into the puppet's chest from below. It was much lighter than Aoko had anticipated. Or rather, she felt little resistance. An automaton's weight was determined by its internals, the size of its power source. Ironically, it was the superiority of its music box engine that would prove to be its downfall.
Venite, venite, venite. Meum sepulchrum venite.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to my world. A stuttering curse. Having taken the full brunt of Aoko's kick, the puppet bounced from ceiling to floor, collapsing in a heap. Its internal construction had been warped by the impact, leaving the drum of the music box that powered the puppet warped as well. Take your design flaws up with your maker. Really, a single dynamo would have been all you need to... What the? Part of the ceiling came crashing down in front of Aoko, snapping her back to her senses. Did I really just take her out? She was so stunned by her own victory that she forgot the House of Mirrors had already begun to collapse. Which feels like overkill now that we're talking about it. I gotta get out of here! Ah shit, it's almost time. There was no time to relish her victory or pity her opponent, not unless she wanted to meet the same fate. As the situation stood, she found it hard to imagine getting out alive. Gotta move on me! She clapped herself in the cheeks to motivate herself anew. It was her bounty for finishing her battle in a matter of seconds. Her breath ragged with excitement, Aoko ran for the exit. Sure hope Sojurouu made it out. That collapse was intensifying by the second. Having lost its support pillars, the castle was buckling under its own weight. Out of my way! Ooh. Escaping from the basement was proving to be no easy task. While she was taking the shortest route possible through the maze, she was nearly crushed by a falling piece of ceiling along the way. This was the second time. No, third, she had to deal with fallen rubble along the way. She destroyed the debris on the stairs with magic bullets as she ran. The automaton's jamming had long since worn off. The earlier attack had damaged the vast majority of its functions. Shit. Is that the Sonic Spin Dash sound? Sure hope Sojurouu wasn't still standing there. Aoko's breathing was heavy as she ran. Inspiration sparked her brain into overdrive. The ceiling seemed to be collapsing in slow motion. Life seemed to flash before her very eyes. Each second stretched into 5. Her frayed nerves made it hard to tell the time. There was debris riddled through the stairway, forcing her to crawl up to it. She emerged from the destroyed basement into the collapsing first floor. That the plaza was still traversable at all was a miracle in itself. Unfortunately for her, the crucial path to the exit was still intact. I made it! The corridor to the entrance was still intact. The basement maze only extended as far as the plaza, so the entrance corridor wouldn't collapse. Only the ceiling would cave in, leaving the scaffolding surrounding intact. She got herself this far by telling herself repeatedly that fate would decide whether or not she reached the plaza. Her gamble paid off. It was her lucky day. All she had to do was muster the last of her strength and keep moving. Until... she hesitated for a fraction of a second. Was it naivete? Or a sense of responsibility? She pushed aside the image that popped into her head and continued running down the corridor. We don't have the luxury of coordinating the timing with each other to pull this off. It's not the greatest plan in the world, but we both need to do our parts to get to the exit as quickly as possible. And that was 5 minutes ago. At that time, Sojurouu had not a trepidation, and Aoko had not bothered to ask herself why.
何様だっての私。今は走ることだけ考えろ。
What are you spacing out for? Focus on running! The corridor was giving out too. If she were to look back, she would be sure she would see the building collapsing in on her. She was also sure she had no time to waste doing so. Her luck was fading as fast as the building's structural integrity. It was a small miracle she had escaped serious injury up to this point, and she could not even afford even the slightest slip-up. Ankle sprain, loss of balance, or even a sneeze would be fatal. A simple pat on the back would be enough to end it. So naturally... Of course. Ow. There it was, clear as day. From the trench to the stairway, death had arisen to take her down with it. A corpse that had crawled its way up from the depths of hell itself. It was still operational. And it was still armed with curses. It had crawled after her, watching as Aoko desperately just tried to save herself. The puppet's arm shot forward. While Aoko did not turn to meet it, she could see its reflection in the mirrors.
E salvato, e salvato, e salvato, e salvato.
Is salvato, salvato, salvato. Extend, extend, extend. This time, she could not dodge it. There was absolutely nothing she could do. The puppet with her face sang,
Venit Domine,
I invite you
Lut sine somnium,
to die a muddy death.
et pulvere simile cote de anno,
Become as whispering dust.
cor prego,
Gouge out your heart.
te iute,
Death be upon you. What? For a moment, she could not believe her eyes. It was the last thing she'd expected to see.
しつこいぞお前。
Don't really know when to give up, do you? A fierce expression adored the face of the boy who had been waiting in the plaza as he smashed the puppet's outstretched arm. Anger really didn't suit him at all. His weapon of choice was a fire extinguisher. He must have searched the maze for something to use as a weapon. No, never mind that. It was too crazy to contemplate, but had he stayed behind for her? Suzuki! Aoko stopped the feet which she had sworn never to stop moving and extended a hand out to him.
そんなのほっといていいから早く。
That's enough! We have to go! Leave it! Sojurouu tossed the fire extinguisher aside and took off running. I was thinking about how they made that move, the collapsing rubble, and all I could think about was Fate Stay Night's official Steam release with the randomizer. That's a moment in history. Anyway, pieces of the ceilings continued to collapse like dominoes. They kept moving with dust and dirt following in their wake. Their shadows raced through the collapsing corridor with all their strength. The castle was in the throes of death, with a massive crash and a cloud of dust. The final chapter of the fairy tale that had been Kitzyland came to an abrupt end. This duel to the death was over. For a moment, amidst their swirling emotions, any past enmity was forgotten. The two collapsed on the lawn and basked in strange solidarity. The ringing in their ears subsided before long. A tremor of such a magnitude seemed impossible for an amusement park like this. As the sounds of destruction echoed across the park, Aoko addressed the individual at her side.
ねえ、生きてる？
Hey, you alive?
うん。
Yeah.
チェ。
While the click of her tongue was adorable, the meaning behind it was anything but.
青崎、あいつどうなった？
Aozaki, what happened to that thing?
見ての通りよ。今頃バラバラ死体になってるんじゃない？
What do you think? It was crushed to bits. Sojurouu sighed, not wholly relieved by her frank response. His reason?
でも、そんな心配より自分の心配をした方がいいと思うわよ、しずきくん。
Never mind that thing. You should be worrying about yourself. Wasn't out of the woods yet, after all.
青崎、子供の頃はいじめっ子だっただろ。
Aozaki, I'm guessing you're kind of a bully as a kid.
可逆趣味はないって自負してるけど。
Maybe. But I don't get a kick out of seeing people suffer.
それで、今の自分の立場、わかってる？
Never mind that. Do you know the situation you're in right now? She sat up and smiled. Sojurouu hung his head in shame, wondering why her kind tone and expression were so chilling.
面目次第もございません。
Please accept my sincerest apologies.
かしこまってもダメよ。あの提案には大前提があったわよね。これは
That's right.
取引だって。あなたが役に立つのなら見逃してあげるっていう。
Oh no. Don't you even start. You know what our agreement was. And a deal is a deal. If you held up your end of the bargain, I'd let you go.
わかってる。だから面目ないって言ってるだろ。
I know. That's why I'm apologizing. Sojurouu made a show of avoiding her eyes. Like a pouting child. Aoko was taken aback by his sulky display. Perhaps he was angry at himself rather than her. He wasn't mad because she would not let him go. He was mad that he hadn't done his part. Aoko sighed for what seemed like the millionth time that day. She couldn't figure out what surprised her more, his unconditional kindness or her naive approval of it.
じゃあ、覚悟はできてるの？
So, you ready?
そんなのはできないけど、約束だからな。結局は何もしていないし。
I mean, no. But a promise is a promise. In the end, I did fail to do my part. It was certainly the case that he failed to do many of the things he said she had expected of him. But just then, she glanced back at the collapsed house of mirrors. What had he done after failing so spectacularly? He had searched for the extinguisher so he could use it as a weapon, and waited patiently in the plaza as the maze collapsed all around him, just because he thought it was wrong to leave her behind. It was a foolish choice, and the exact opposite of her choice to run towards the exit without hesitation.
ま、それでよしとするか。
I guess I'll take it. She was satisfied, even as she was shocked at how naive she was being. It was true that he had saved her. She smiled inwardly, admiring, if only for a moment, the bravery he continued to show in the face of such extreme circumstances.
役割は果たさなかったけど、アフターケアは合格だし。約束は 守らなくちゃね。
You may have blown your chance, but you did make up for it after the fact. I'd say the deal's still good. With a nod, she pulled herself to her feet.
約束は、いつか守ってもらうとして。
But you'll pay this back someday. The girl tried to keep a straight face as she offered a hand to the boy still lying on the ground.
結果はどうあれ手助けしてもらったし、
You did help me out in the end.
特別サービスってことで、今夜はもう手を出さないであげる。
So because of that, I'll let you off the hook. For tonight. She bashfully averted her gaze. Though her profile appeared different than it had in the past, it was clearly still the face of the vibrant girl he met that day he first arrived in town.
何？
What are you staring at? As if she had felt his eyes on her, she shot him a frowning glare.
いや、突拍子もないけど、青崎は律儀だなって。
Oh, sorry. It's just... Crazy as it is to say out loud, you really are a fair person, Aozaki. He took her outstretched hand. Feeling his weight as she pulled him up, she couldn't help but think that he was about the last person she wanted to hear that from.
ところで、今夜はって言うけど、明日からは。
By the way, you said you'd let me off the hook for tonight. What about tomorrow?
さあ、その時になったら考えるわ。
Well, we'll just have to see. She shrugged her shoulders as if she was not sure herself. The response was so unlike her that it made Sojurouu smile. Was it the solidarity of having escaped death together? Or their fleeting camaraderie that made it so? Fleeting camaraderie that made him do so? It might have been for this night only. The air between them was kind and gentle. A lot had transpired, but the midwinter nightmare had come to an end. The pair had overcome many trials and tribulations, and could now leave the mirror realm in their wake. But before that...
随分と身勝手ね。
How selfish of you.
それはあなた一人で決めていいことだったかしら。
Oh.
青子。
And who, may I ask, said you could decide that, Aoko? Is it Alice? It's Alice cleaning up after Aoko. It was the voice of a beautiful songbird and a merciless machine, all rolled into one.
アリス。
Alice. Her voice quivered as she spoke the name. The lady in black made her presence known. The night was not yet over. Her name was Alice Kunoji. Kwanji. She was a witch whose name struck fear into the heart of Aoko, an avatar of the night who would allow no witnesses. Oh boy. We're gonna go a little bit into the next chapter, I guess, just to see if it kind of picks up from there. Because it was like an hour. Still some good time. Maybe we'll keep going. There. Why don't we put you? I don't know, here. I love it when visual novels have like a billion save slots. Just throw that shit wherever. Next episode, then, I guess. Night of the Witches 2. Ah, shit, straight on. Okay. The melody stirred an emotion, like nostalgia within them. Something once familiar, but now lost to this world. They believed beyond a shadow of a doubt it would play for all eternity. From opening stanza to final coda. It was a mysterious siren song, merry yet longing, that heralded a return from dreams to reality. Hey, that's the thing. The little whatever they call it. The thumbnail for the game. The night shook, and a song was spun. Now their lost paradise was unearthed. Abandoned dreams, forsaken idols. They all responded to the cry of the blue cat. The name of that bell was Diddle Diddle, Banquet of the Night. All fables made possible, all marvels made real, by the magecraft of Alice Kwanji, more magical than magic itself. Interesting. Is it supposed to be that choppy? I'm gonna say yes. But maybe not, I don't know. How selfish of you.
それはあなた一人で決めていいことだったかしら、青子。
Is that something you can really decide on your own, Aoko? Alice sat, perched atop the clock tower, like a black bird of ill omen. She smoothed the ruffles of her skirt as if she was preening.
Alice.
Alice. There was tension in Aoko's voice as she lifted her head. The calm atmosphere for a moment prior had been long since been shooed away by Alice's gaze. That girl. I've seen her somewhere before. Sojurouu searched his hazy memory. He couldn't clearly make out her face at this distance, but he was sure he'd seen her around town a number of times. Where and when eluded him. However, as his tension in the air kept him from connecting all the dots.
驚いた。随分と仲間思いになったのね、アリス。今夜は私に任せるんじゃなかったっけ?
Well, isn't this a turn of events? I didn't know you cared so much, Alice. I thought you were going to leave tonight to me. Aoko raided her guard and took half a step forward. Unconsciously. From an objective standpoint, it almost looked like she were protecting the figure behind her. Alice's silence grew heavier. Her eyes fixed on the ground below her were devoid of emotion. An indescribable sense of dread and pressure laid claim over the plaza. A bell? As he strained his ears, he could make out the faint ringing of a bell echoing in the distance. The rippling sound wave seemed, unbelievably, to be emanating from under the ground. Hey, Ozaki, that girl, she's...
黙ってて。
Quiet. Okay. Sojurouu stepped back, trying to stay out of the way. It was as though he'd been told to go to hell for the crime of asking if the girl was Aoko's friend.
そうね。仲間思いに当てはまるかは微妙だけど、良くない予感がしたから様子を見に来ただけ。
I wouldn't go as far as to say that I cared. I simply had a feeling something might be wrong and came to check.
別にあなたの仕事を疑ったわけじゃないわ。
It's not as though I had any doubts regarding your ability to handle the job.
それはどうも。どうせならもう少し早くその良くない予感とやらに気づいてほしかったけど。
Truly appreciated. Would have been nice if you'd thought to come to check just a little bit earlier, though.
でもま、ご覧の通り自己解決したわ。
As you can see, things seem to have worked themselves out.
夜も遅いし、さっさと帰っていいわよ、アリス。私の仕事っぷりを疑うわけじゃないんでしょ？
It's late, so don't let me keep you, Alice. Since you have no doubts about my ability, right? Their eyes locked in on one of each other. Alice's stare was uncomfortably cold. Aoko's is bold, daring Alice to air her complaints.
いえ、気が変わったわ。
I think I've changed my mind.
せっかくだし二人で帰りましょう。その方があなたらしいわ。帰りしな、人形の話でも聞かせてちょうだい。
I'm here now, so why don't the two of us go home? That's more your style anyway, Aoko. You can tell me all about your adventures with the puppet on the way.
らしいって何よ、らしいって。
What's that supposed to mean?
いいから帰れ帰れ、ぐうたらアリス。部屋に閉じこもって役に立たないムクドリでも作ってろっての。
Go home, Alice. Shut yourself in your room and make some more of those worthless birds. A disappointed sigh escaped Alice's delicate lips. It seemed that the black-clad girl was more astonished than angry.
青子、口にしたくないけど、本気？
Aoko, I hate to say this, but seriously? Quietly, Alice questioned her roommate of nearly 2 years.
呆れた。二人で秘密を守ると言ったのに。
Are you jealous? You surprised me. Did you not say we would protect our secret together?
まだ半端にそっち側なの？それとも情でも移った？
Are you still having trouble letting go of the other side? Or has compassion taken hold of you?
別に、情っていうより私の気分。
Neither. This isn't compassion. I just feel like doing it this way.
だいたい方針なんてその場その場で変わるもんでしょ。気分ならなおさらよ。
No plan survives contact with the enemy. You know that. The same goes for my mood.
そっちこそ一度した約束は絶対守るなんて時代遅れなんじゃない？
Besides, who goes out of the way to keep a promise she made forever ago? A little old-fashioned, if you ask me. The proverbial knives were out now. No quarter was given or taken. Sadly, their partnership was one of convenience and hadn't really reached the level of mutual understanding. Their version of friendship was both delicate and unique. When a conflict of opinion arose, each would refuse to budge until the other crumbled. Neither was concerned for the other's plight, and at least for now, that's how they liked it.
そうね。今の暴言はあなたらしいとは思うけど。
You know, I've come to accept stupid outbursts like that from you. Once again, she let out a sigh, even larger than the one before.
言い争いは後にしましょう。
Why don't we save this argument for later?
そこの彼をいなかったことにするのは
I can make him
私だけで十分だし。
I can make him disappear on my own. Finally, she struck straight to the point. As if making to move a chess piece, Alice lifted her slender finger. Don't like that. Oh boy. Oh. Even this simple action seemed mysterious to Sojurouu, the same boy who had been hunted by his classmate Aoko Azaki and born witness to an automaton. Aoko's violence and an animated doll. Though perhaps far beyond the realm of logic, both of these things were derived from reality. As surprised as he may have been, there was no need to think of them as total mysteries. However, when the thing appeared out of thin air, from a seemingly unrelated gesture, he had no word for it besides mysterious. Sojurouu stood motionless, captivated by this stage performer's magic trick, as the girl's single-finger magecraft turned into an attack directed at him. A blue light flew from the side to repel it, annihilating it without a trace.
Yaba.
Oh, shit. Aoko immediately regretted her reflexive shot.
どういうこと？約束を曲げただけじゃなく、ルールまで破るつもり？
What are you doing? You're not just satisfied with breaking our promise, so you must break the rules as well? The already chilled midwinter air plunged below freezing. Alice looked calm and collected from the outside, but in reality she was sometimes even more hot-blooded than Aoko. This was especially true when it concerned her familiars. Accidentally breaking one would often result in a week of silent treatment. But against someone who maliciously destroyed her things, Alice was prone to retaliate without warning.
あっちゃー。いつかやるとは思ったけど、ついに逆鱗に触れちゃったか。
Shit, I gotta do that someday. We're gonna pick the worst time. Aoko sighed at herself. Even she was exasperated by her own stupidity, yet she couldn't help but feel a pang of relief. She didn't intend to make any excuses, and she had no regrets. She'd broken the rules, so had Alice.
青子。
Aoko?
なんていうか、
How do I put this? If anything, it took a load off her mind. After all, now there was no going back. Aoko never intended to break her own rules. If there was anything for Aoko to regret, it was putting too little power into her shop.
私的に今夜こいつに死なれるのは困るのよ。
I have a problem with this guy dying tonight.
なんで日を改めて殺しに来てくれないアリス。いいでしょ？たった1日ぐらい。
Can we reschedule this execution, Alice? Really, what difference does a day make? To Aoko, it was simply natural to take on a pro bono case in defense of an innocent suspect.
それは市場？
And is this personal?
悪い？一宿一般の恩義って割と大事にしてるの、私。
And if it is, you know that paying back my debts is pretty important to me.
私との協定より。
More important than our agreement?
ええ、時と場合によって。
Sure, depending on the time and place. OBS does not like it when it animates like that. Sojurouu's human rights had not even entered the argument. The girls were busy pouring oil on each other's flames. The girl, clad in black, was the first to move, or rather, to erupt.
そう。よくわかったわ、青子。
I see. I understand how you feel, Aoko.
私は彼をここで殺す。
But I'm going to have to kill him here.
あなたは彼をここだけ生かす。
I believe that you would let him live.
つまり、私と戦う。ということでいい？
Shall I take that to mean you're ready to fight me for it?
そんなのいいわけないじゃない。
You know damn well I'd rather not. Aoko bit back the retort. She was very familiar with Alice's magecraft. She knew painfully well how many mystics were hidden in Alice's tiny body. The odds of victory were essentially non-existent. And once the first shot had been fired, Alice Kunoji was out without mercy. I know that's not how you pronounce it. I'm just going to pronounce it Kunoji because that's all I'm saying. Kuonji. Whether facing a roommate or a friend, a most beloved family member or a stranger. Once Alice began a fight as a witch, she became a heartless, unflappable monster. Aoko advanced another half step forward as if to encourage herself. It was too late to back down now. The situation was no longer a trivial quarrel over a witness. The bedrock of their so-called friendship had nothing to do with their individual abilities, and everything to do with being equals in will. That's why, in order to stay true to herself, Aoko had no room for compromise or deception.
もちろん、あんたを殺すことになっても、そこのバカは生かしきるわ。それに、
Of course I'm gonna make sure this idiot lives, even if it means killing you. And besides... Oh boy. Her magic circuits howled as they kicked into gear. Her body, which had mostly been dormant during the battle, with his puppet, ignited, preparing to demonstrate its true worth.
それに、どの道最後には殺し合う仲でしょ、私たち。
We were going to end up killing each other in the end anyway. Her courage overpowered any fear she had for her opponent. 6 shots into 1. Tuning her body, her magic circuits, to become like the barrel of a gun, Aoko fired a magical bullet. It was an exceedingly basic magecraft formula. There was no nature interference, no creating of wind, parting of water, nor hastening of decay. It was simply the process of converting the imaginary activity, known as magical energy, into something real, before releasing it as heat. Thus, Aoko's destructive power was equal to her supply of magical energy. The magic bullets she had used against Sojurouu were among the most basic single-action magecraft that did not require an incantation. And her present ability, Aoko's main mode of attack, her magic bullets, could be fired at 3 levels of power. These were at the 2nd level. This required a double-action magecraft, a casting through activation of her crest combined with a simple incantation. However, without blinking, Alice dispersed the shot that Aoko had mustered all of her spirit to fire. Aoko tutted in frustration. A swift sneak attack that used a simplified incantation would not be enough to break Alice with guard.
相変わらずお堅いこと。そのから一段と独りよがりになってるんじゃない？
Dip as ever, as I see. Don't you think that shell is making you complacent? Aoko provoked Alice in order to disguise her own lack of composure. Sojurouu in the background being like, what the fuck have I gotten into? Somehow Alice seemed delighted by Aoko's bravado.
売り言葉に買い言葉というやつね。
I suppose these are what they call fighting words.
こういう勢いだけのきっかけは初めてだけど。
I've never fought to the death for such a trivial reason.
驚いたわ。こんなくだらない理由でもその気になるものなのね、人間って。
I'm truly shocked. Such conceited creatures, humans are. Alice giggled. Smiling with heartfelt amazement, Alice gestured her left hand towards the earth. Yeah, I was gonna say more forks. And a plate! Those plates can't hurt more than the forks. Zap stab, zap stab, zap stab, zap stab. Countless utensils shot from underneath the cobblestones paving the plaza. Suzuki, get back! What? She grabbed his hand as she shouted, jumping backward before he even had a chance to respond. As if they had wills of their own, the utensils had suddenly appeared from the ground and gave chase. As the barrier of spears grew around them, Aoko and Sojurouu put some distance between themselves and the clock tower. Is that all you got? Just under 30 feet stood between them and Alice. The lethal weapons that had crumbled the stone beneath them fell short of what Alice had anticipated. They now encircled the clock tower, making the scene look like the burning of a witch at the stake.
普通逆じゃない。ここは私たちを逃がさないよう槍で周りを囲むものでしょ。
Isn't this backwards? You'd expect the spheres to try and stop us from escaping. The path beyond them was safe. If they wanted to, they could try and make a break for the main gate and escape.
いいのアリス。悪いけど逃げられるなら逃げるわよ。私。
You sure about this, Alice? Sorry, but if you're gonna let me escape, I'm not gonna pass that chance up. She could just make it back to town and be Aoko's win. All she wanted to do was let Sojurouu get away for the night, so if she could get him back to the city, it would be, for the most part, mission accomplished. That doesn't look good.
Huh?
Or so she had thought. Without even offering a glance at her targets below, Alice carefully and lovingly pulled out a bottle from her pocket.
緑のフラスコ？
A green flask?
あれって確か。やば！とにかくファイヤー！
A green? Wait, that's... Shit, fire! The shot was deflected with ease. Gone was Aoko's earlier bravado. It was only natural. Aoko had indeed grown as a mage. Over the last 2 years of study, her studies had progressed well. As she had more or less gotten a grasp of her roommate's tendencies and abilities. This had made her conceited enough to believe that, under favorable circumstances, she'd be able to show Alice a thing or two at a fight. Alice uncorked the magical bottle. A gentle breeze caressed her cheek. Diddle Diddle fled as a new player stepped onto the stage. But from where would it enter? The sound of footsteps. A nostalgic parade approached. I want to hear one of the Japanese voice actors say the words diddle diddle. Didoru didoru. Wow, OBS is actually taking this really well. No way. What emerged was a miracle that Aoko Azaki, that apprentice mage, had never witnessed. The dead came to life. The inanimate awakened. The woods were enveloped by the mists. Fire-breathing lizards lurked in the swamps. Puppets made their merry at midnight. Alice Kwanji's slender fingers had transfigured the entirety of the park, as if gently stroking the back of an elderly cat. Very well. Let us play pretend, Aoko. For one night, the wasteland of dashed hopes and dreams was restored to its former glory. Nope, now OBS doesn't like it. It was an immortal monster ready to devour reality. A dark fairy tale that, once unleashed, would never let its prey escape. Run if you dare. I don't believe you'll get far, but if you can survive the night, I'll concede the round to you. Her declaration marked the start of a desperate battle. The witch in black laughed at her friend. Her musical mirth was filled with affection, sadness, and innocent delight. Kitzyland. Faded glory returned to Kitzyland. The neon glow of innumerable lights illuminated the night. Speakers filled the air with sounds of vinyl music. Merry-go-rounds, small and large, whirled round and round. All in all, it made for a mind-bending spectacle. It was certainly possible to power the facilities by transmuting magical energy into electricity via alchemy. That said, simply supplying the park with electricity would not have brought back to life that which was broken. The young woman did this by mixing chemicals into a compound. Not by mixing chemicals into a compound, but by melting down divine providence into a witch's brew.
まずいわね。アリスのプロイは何個か見てきたけど、今回のは桁が違う。
This is bad. I've seen her ploys. And this one is something completely new.
セット。
Set. Stifling her anxiety, Aoko fired up the crest on her right arm. If magic circuits were a mage's engine, then their crests was software that assisted their magecraft. For the fledgling mage Aoko, this was her trump card. All she had to do was supply magical energy to her crest-based formula. It may not have been the strongest magecraft, but it was hers. Proof that she was a successor to the Aozaki lineage.
講師2層。直流数も。
Execute double layer. Direct current to crest. This is so cool. The pattern of her crest shifted to execute the formula, which then connected to her magic circuits. The process resembled trains changing rails, a puzzle involving dozens of circuits. She constructed it as swiftly as possible without sacrificing the quality of its construction. Instant magecraft cast without incantation would not be enough to reach Alice Kuwanji. Alice had gauged the strength of Aoko. Fuck. Falling apart. Aoko had gauged the strength of Aoko. Listen. We're talking about two very similar, not really, A names. Aoko had gauged the strength of Alice's defense with her initial shots. She would dial up the power 5 times the next time, driving 20 tons of force into her target. Alice had the protection of the thick hanging fog of the dense barrier around her. However, this attack would be more than enough to pierce through both. If Aoko struck home, it would cave in Alice's chest and end the fight. And worse, it would at least knock Alice down from her position atop the tower.
そろそろいいかな?
Hey, I have a question here, as the guy you're fighting for. As always, there was one guy who spoiled the deadly tension, pulling Aoko out of killer mode. Sojurouu had been looking back and forth between Aoko and Alice in confusion.
それでどういう話になったんだ?
What's happening now? He said it like he might ask for directions to the train station. Normally she would have lashed out in response, but his deadly serious tone shocked rather than angered her.
信じられない。慣れてきた。私。
I can't believe this shit. Is this my life now? Aoko swallowed back a sigh and returned her focus to activating her crest.
交渉は決裂。ちょっと怒らせすぎた。
Negotiations broke down. I guess I pissed her off a little too much.
あの子から見れば、まあいい機会だし、遊園地ごと私を亡き者にしようって腹ね。
From her perspective, this is a good chance to kill me off. Along with the entire park, I guess. Sojurouu tilted his head as if begging for a simpler explanation.
私、割とあの子に恨まれてるから。捕まったが最後、どんな風に殺されるか想像すらできないわ。
She's really got it in for me. I can't even imagine what sort of death she has in store if she catches me.
要するに、あんたも私も、あの子をどうにかしないと生きて帰れないってことよ。
What I'm saying is, neither of us are getting out of this alive unless we do something about her.
そんなとばっちりだ。
So you're saying I got dragged into your fucking fight?
まあ、そういうことになるかもね。
Pretty much. As Sojurouu protested in a tone wholly inappropriate to the situation, Aoko let another blast rip from her right arm. She was not aiming at Sojurouu, though. A little earlier in the day, Aoko would have been happy to do exactly that. But now her attention was focused on the girl in black atop the clock tower. Aoko's mind struggled to catch up to her astonishment. She had fired the strongest, fastest magic bullet she had the ability to conjure, and Alice blocked it. That much was to be expected. When Alice set her mind to defending herself, such an attack was child's play. But what just happened? Something Aoko had never seen before leapt to Alice's defense. A team of horses? A plague of locusts? No. Those existed in the real world, unlike what Aoko had just witnessed. Normal creatures could not form like a spontaneous cloud of fog and then dissipate just as quickly in the night sky. We don't have to worry about that. What? Impossible things moved in impossible ways. Alice wasn't even supplying them with any power source. Those things never needed power in the first place. Those broken and discarded things did not follow the rules of mankind. Who doesn't like that? This was an invasion of fairy tales. Compared to them, the automaton looked merciful. Oh my god, that fucked up train with a horse head on it. Autonomous puppets were products of magecraft, but even then they behaved as puppets should. These newly animated things, however, were nothing of the sort. Empty vessels became living creatures. Dummies warped into malformed beings. There was a fog so dense with magical energy it visibly spread to all corners of the park, bringing with it a monstrous welcoming party that easily numbered over 1,000. Spurred on by the shuddering sensation running down her spine, Aoko fired a barrage of single-action magic bullets. Balloons! Her impulsive attacks scattered futilely. The knights of the merry-go-round soared into the sky. Green, fire-breathing lizards flocked. Bakeries opened their doors once again, and human-sized loaves of fresh bread marched from their ovens as platoons of newly baked soldiers. Aozaki, behind you! Aoko and Sojurouu were completely surrounded. The Ferris wheel creaked as it gently turned. A rickety train car raced about the roller coaster tracks, with Kitzy, tears streaming down its face aboard. Kind of funny in its own way. It was a grossly twisted fantasy. The girl in black reigned over the insanity-fueled park. Oh, now we're screwed. Aoko was transfixed by the scene unfolding around her. Then she realized what was happening.
そうだ、これは。
Oh, I know what this is. Aoko had once told her of Meinster's familiars. Among them were the three of particular notoriety, one of which she recalled being capable of something similar to this. And it was called...
プロイキッシャ、フラットスナーク。
Floy Kickshaw. Hold on. Floy Kickshaw Flat Snark. Flat Snark, I can... It's fine. Floy Kickshaw. Ugh. Gotta get used to saying that. Flat Snark.
青崎だから後ろ
Seriously, Aozaki, behind you! That fucked up train horse. Struck by still in Aozaki mode. Struck by Aoko's bullets, the creatures exploded into splinters. It was clear Aoko's shots were becoming more powerful, but it was also the case that these beings were less robust than your average automata.
しずきくん、こっち。
Suzuki, this way! Aoko turned away from the clock tower, grabbed his hand, and began to run.
青崎
Wait, Aozaki!
ごめん、これ無理。
Sorry, no time.
逃げるわよ。
We're running.
逃げるってどこに
To where?
どこって、とにかく行けるところまで。
It doesn't matter. Anywhere. She shouted as though trying to persuade herself as she valiantly cleared a path. Aoko's magic bullets flew like a scream. Blowing away the creatures that blocked, or simply gathered around their path, she made a hole for them to escape through. Magical bullets exploded like blue fireworks. Aoko and Sojurouu ran down the bumpy brick road. Their bond, forged in the heat of battle, went far beyond mutual convenience. At this point, they headed for the park's exit at full speed without exchanging a word or look. The weirdness only extended as far as the park border, so they would be safe as long as they made it outside. But, speaking in pure numbers, the difference in strength was 2 versus an army. Well, 1 really. Sojurouu can't really do anything. Oh yeah, there we go. Or rather, 1 versus an army. I didn't even look up as I say that. Sojurouu was hardly useful in the situation, and manpower wasn't really the issue here, since they were facing puppets.
さっきの大丈夫？上からこうでっかいハサミが落ちてきたけど。
You doing alright? Those are some giant pincers back there. Aoko shouted as she blasted away the monsters that stood in their path. There was no time to stop for breath, or even to look back.
なんとかギリギリ
Yeah, just barely. Sojurouu pursued. His voice, too, had naturally become shrill. 5 minutes later... Where did they get that? They'd broken out of their siege at the plaza surprisingly fast. It seemed the residents' awakening differed case by case, with larger creatures taking additional time.
ラッキー、朝に弱いタイプばっかと見た。
We're lucky they're not the morning type. Aoko joked as she mowed down the small fry that popped up. Then, without warning, something outrageous extended its way down from above them. It was the claws of the 60-foot lobster adorning the roof of a seafood restaurant. Nothing good comes from giant lobsters, I can tell you that much. Its pincers were like a guillotine. As Aoko and Sojurouu cut across from the front of the restaurant, the Red King pressed in at tremendous speed, keen on splitting them in two. Shizuki, heard about! This place is no good! The gate was just on the other side of the restaurant, but they had to take the long way around in order to lose the giant lobster slapping at their heels. Waiting along their detour had been a horde of monsters, too many to count. Yeah, just barely. Sojurouu called out in response, recalling how narrowly he had avoided his head being severed clean from his body. In front of us! What the hell are those? Are they freshly baked? Looks like it. In other words, they're the cannon fodder. Aoko halted her sprint and set her crest into full operation. Range 6, 7, 5. Shit. Range 7, 6, 5 yards. At this distance, Snap will take him down. Sliding along the brick path, she brandished her right arm. She loosed a shower of magic bullets. Snap was a single-action spell that favored rate of fire over power, and it mowed down the monsters with satisfying pops. Aozaki, more over here! Roger. Blue explosions bloomed along the lamp-lit promenade. Aoko's curtain of fire fanned out. It was a marvelous Starmine fireworks show. The toy bread men turned to charcoal. We can do this. They got us overpowered in numbers, but at this rate we'll be able to get out of here. Suzuki, how's it look over there? Clear over here. You'll be able to approach the exit from the east. Thought you said west. Didn't I get that? Shit. With a magical barrage that would leave an average spellcaster blue in the face, the novice mage broke through the siege. Meanwhile, a single bird keenly watched everything unfold. Chirp, cheep, 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 chirp. The moment the bluebird descended onto its master's field of vision, it made its high-pitched call. The girl listened expressionlessly to their report. No matter. Everything's going as expected.
撃つこと、壊すことしか脳がなくても、青子の魔力の使い方は波じゃないから。急増の使い魔じゃ、まだ相手にはならないでしょう。
Even if she only knows how to shoot and destroy, the way Aoko uses magical energy is extraordinary. Hastily formed familiars are no match for her. The robin flapped its wings as it tweeted in response. I'll go back to that one. Perhaps it was criticizing Alice for complimenting Aoko. Or perhaps it was jealous of Aoko for being praised by Alice. Alice could barely make sense of his chirping rant. Aoko Aozaki was a novice mage. Until 2 years ago, she had grown up with no background in magecraft. Compared to Alice, who was raised as a witch from birth, Aoko possessed far less talent and experience. There was simply no comparison to be made. In a contest of skills in magecraft, 10 times out of 10, Alice would be declared the victor. However, that narrative changed when it came to a battle of life or death. Alice Kuanji, I did it right that time, was not the type of mage suited for combat. While Aoko Awazaki, on the other hand, was built for it. In a contest that pitted magical energy against magical energy, even Alice would concede that Aoko had the upper hand. Aoko's manipulation of magical energy was extraordinary. The scale of her magic circuits was smaller than that of Alice, but their rotational speed, durability, and output quality, not to mention efficiency, were otherworldly. Oh, that's so pretty. That was Aoko Awazaki's hallmark. Though she had many failings when handling sophisticated formulae, in just 2 years of practice, Aoko had surpassed Alice in simple formulae that merely required an energy input. She also had a genius instincts and adaptability. Though Alice was not particularly proficient in executing magecraft, though Aoko was not particularly proficient in executing magecraft, she was terrifyingly fast. If she had been born outside of the Awazaki clan, she would have been doubtless risen to fame as a competitive sharpshooter.
でも残念ね。
What a pity. In a straight shootout, Alice didn't stand a chance. Alice Kuanji had never bothered to learn primitive magecraft like magic bullets in the first place. She was the classic puppeteer. Her familiars served as her arms and legs to carry out all the particulars of battle.
制限時間には気づいているわよね、青子。
Clock's ticking, Aoko.
魔力はいくらでも貸してあげるけど、あなたの魔弾はあと半時で値崩れするわ。
I'm happy to lend you all the ammunition you like, but after an hour, those bullets will be worthless. Chirping as if in agreement, the robin took flight. It had been nearly 10 minutes since Alice had made the amusement park into her dominion. To what would the green fog give birth next? Aoko and Sojurouu were still running about. Aoko and Sojurouu, still running about, would soon come to understand the gravity of their situation.
Shizuki-kun, 正門ってこっち?
Suzuki, is this the way out?
ああ、その店を曲がれば出口だ。
Yeah, exit's just around that store. Running non-stop at full speed had them at their limits. Their breath ragged, the duo rounded the corner at breakneck pace. Amusement park though it was still the infamous Kitzyland. It would have taken a high school student 20 minutes to sprint the entire circumference of the park. And though they were now intimately familiar with the park's geography, it was changing beyond recognition. The transformation was not limited to the park's residents either.
Awazaki.
Awazaki?
何を?
What?
言いたくないんだけど、この遊園地広くなってないか?
I hate to ask, but is it just me or is the park getting bigger? It was. Their problem wasn't as mundane as mistaking the location of the exits, nor the strange terrain. No. The park was warping and twisting in on itself. Even as they ran, its structure was expanding and growing like that of a living creature. Soon, the pair noticed that the mob encircling them had grown even stronger. Entrusting her back to Sojurouu, Aoko summoned all of her effort just to keep from whining. No one will blame Sojurouu for cowering in shock. For Aoko to do the same, she bore responsibility for causing and then dragging him into this mess. She couldn't afford to succumb to panic.
大丈夫。落ち着け私。
It's fine. Hold yourself together, Aoko.
遊園地の果てはある。遠いけど、鉄柵はちゃんと見える。
The park has to end somewhere. It may be far, but the fence is right there.
フラットスナークだって制限なしってわけじゃない。外に逃げるって選択は正しいはず。
Even Flat Stark has limits. Getting to the exit is the right choice, I think.
現状、外までは目算で1キロぐらいだけど。
From here, it looks like the better part of a mile away. Up until now, they'd been too concerned with simply running. Their breathing had become labored. If they had to run another mile without rest, they'd end up collapsing along the way.
青崎、体大丈夫か？
Ozaki, how are you holding up? Physically, I mean. What? The whisper from behind pulled Aoko back to reality.
大丈夫だけど、ちょっと一息入れたいわね。
I'm fine, but I need to catch my breath.
賛成。ここから休みなしで外周まで走るのはやめた方がいい。
Good idea. We'll never make it outside if we don't rest.
驚いた。しずきくんも外まで走ろう派とは。
You know, I never would have thought you'd be okay with making a run for it. She let slip a giggle. Far from debilitated by panic, her comrade-at-arms had been analyzing the situation and forming an escape plan. Oh, that's right.
ちょっとだけ建物に逃げ込むのは。
Why don't we hold up in one of those buildings for a while?
気は進まないけど、それしかないわね。
I don't like it, but it is our best option right now. The red men had them completely surrounded. Perhaps this might have been a problem for an average person, but for Aoko, breaking through the formation and getting to the building would be a cinch. The issue was...
問題はどんな店を選ぶかってこと。
which one to pick? She considered the characteristics of the transforming park. That would pose a what would pose a danger? What would be safe? The most important factor was not the strength or the complexity of the building.
そうだ。選ぶならあの単純さで正しいはず。
Keep it simple, stupid.
しずきくん、あっち。
Suzuki, this way. After routing the monsters, Aoko hopped behind the counter, soon followed by Sojurouu.
カウンターに隠れてて。
Get behind the counter! Like she was in a Western shootout, Aoko squared off against the monsters, using the counter as cover. His dumb fucking face.
ここならスナーク化しないんだ。
Bingo! Nothing in here can get snarkified. After assessing the current state of the enemy, Aoko sat down under the counter.
あいつらは
What are they doing?
店の周りで地団打踏んでるわ。理由があってね。あいつらはここには入ってこられないのよ。
They're stamping their feet in frustration because they're angry that they can't get in. Oh. Aoko gave the perplexed Sojurouu a grin and took a moment to catch her breath. God, that was so cool. She heaved a heavy sigh of relief and fatigue.
とりあえずコーヒーブレイクね。 ここは遊園地の中でも遊びのない場所だから、あいつらにとっては鬼門なのよ。
We'll have a little coffee break here. The restaurant is the blandest place in the park, which makes it their Achilles heel.
レジスターも調理器具も最近のものだし、擬人化されたマスコットもないし、スナーク化するにはちょい文明犬すぎるってこと。
The registers and utensils are all modern, and there's no mascot characters. It's just a bit too civilized for Snark to mess with.
スナーク
Snark.
あいつらの名前よ。つけたのは私じゃなくてアリスなのかしらね。あの子の性格的にちょっと想像できないけど、まあとにかくそういう名前。
That's their name. Though Alice was the one who came up with it. I think. It doesn't really sound like her, but whatever. That's what they're called. Perhaps now at ease from knowing they were safe, Sojurouu seemed enthralled by her explanation. Aoko could not help but chuckle as Sojurouu nodded sagely. It was certain he had no idea what they were talking about. Normally this would have irritated her, but this time she was grateful for the warmth of his strange sobriety.
それはともかく調子良さそうだな、青崎。
Well, it's good you seem better, Aozaki. Mistaking her smile for composure, Sojurouu broke into a smile himself. It was just another link in a chain of misunderstandings. But there was no need to address it.
あれ？あなたから見てもわかる？私のマダンの威力が上がっているの。
Oh, you can tell? Yeah, my magic bullets are getting more powerful.
そりゃミラーハウスで散々追いかけ回されたからな。あの時と同じ動作なのに物騒さが増していれば嫌でもわかる。
Well, it did chase me all around that house of mirrors while firing those things at me, so I guess I've become pretty familiar with them, for better or worse.
でもいいのか？確か数に限りがあるとか言ってただろ。もう随分撃っちまったけど、20、30じゃ効かないぞ。
Hey, you sure you're okay? I remember you mentioning that you had like a limited number of shots, but you fired at least 20 or 30 so far, right? A thought I also had.
あんた、時々あれよね。
You know, every now and then you... Her opinion improved just a little bit.
なんでもない。
Never mind.
私のマダンの威力が上がっているのは単純に魔力の濃度の問題。さっきから霧がかかってるでしょ。あれ全部魔力なのよ。弾を撃つための燃料と思って。
My bullets' increase in power is a simple matter of the density of their magical energy. You've seen that fog around the park from a bit ago, right? It's all just magical energy. Think of it as fuel for my bullets. Magical energy was divided into two broad categories. First was odd, produced inside a mage's body. The second was mana, which filled the atmosphere. At the moment, the amusement park had turned into a fairy tale land overflowing with mana. Although it meant nothing to the average person, to a mage it was a paradise where spells could be cast as much as one pleased.
じゃあ残り魔力とやらは気にしなくていいのか。
So that means you don't have to worry about how much magic, whatever you have left then, right?
注意すべきは怪我と体力だけ。
All we need to worry about is injuries and stamina?
まあ個人的な責任においてはその限りね。
Well, as far as our own lives are concerned, yeah. Sojurouu breathed a sigh of relief. From Sojurou's perspective, more so than the monsters she mowed down, Aoko was the biggest bully on the playground. He had been concerned about what would happen should her magical energy be exhausted, but luckily for him, she was far from surrendering her crown.
頼りにしてくれるのは嬉しいけど、ぬか喜びよ。
It's nice that you trust me and all, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, okay?
あんな雑魚たち、ただ動いているだけのガラクタなんだから。
Those minions out there are just walking garbage.
スナーク本体は当然として、アリスが他の童話の怪物を出してきたら、私じゃどうにもならない。
If Alice summons any other fairy tale monsters, let alone the actual Snark making an appearance, there's nothing I'll be able to do.
他の童話の怪物。遊園地をこんな風に変えたやつ以外にまだいるのか？
Other fairy tale monsters? You mean there are others apart from the thing that changed the park?
そう。プロイキッシャーって名付けられた私たちでさえ目を背けたくなる反則。
Yeah, they're called ploy kickshaws, aberrations that even we mages can't stand to look at.
不可能な夢物語をも再現する時代に取り残されたデタラメよ。
They're nonsense lost to time, used to revive impossible fantasies.
うん
Sojurouu's expression seemed to be calling out on her hypocrisy.
あのね、私たちはちゃんと現代に寄り添った魔術師よ。
Hey, most of us have modern standards, you know.
できないこともあるし、当たり前のことだけど、近代兵器にはかなわない。20世紀、まあ、いろんな戦争の後押しで、兵器の進化は私たちを超えちゃったから。
Obviously, there are things we can't do. But we're no match for modern weapons. The 20th century, well, a bunch of wars helped weapons. Technology catch up to us.
けど、あの子のは違う。どんなに人間の技術が進歩しようと関係ないって怪物なの。
But that girl's a different beast altogether. Mankind's evolution can't hold a flame to her power.
例えば、あのブレッドマンいるでしょ。
Take those breadmen, for instance.
あいつには自動拳銃とか効かないわよ。多分、意味が分かっていないから。
Something like a machine gun would have no effect on them, probably, because guns make no sense to them. Aoko casually gestured outside, past the counter.
アリスの使い魔は、すべてが空想によってこねられた神秘なの。
Alice's familiars are mystics needed from fantasies.
前提からしてありえないことだから、通常の物理法則と折り合いが悪い。空想と現実は両立しないっていう、ごく当たり前の理由でね。
They're all impossible in the first place, so they don't play nice with the laws of physics. That shouldn't come as a surprise since fantasy and reality can't really exist together.
なるほど。ブレッドマンってのはあの動く焼きたてパンのことなんだな。
I see. So they're literally walking loaves of bread. He's got that dumb smile on, I can tell. Sojurouu seemed to have ignored the majority of Aoko's explanation and only reacted to the part that was caught in his curiosity.
話を戻すけど、
To get back on topic,
あいつらと近代兵器の相性は最悪。ロケット弾でも効果はないわ。意思の疎通、秩序の共有ができてないから。
modern arms don't stand a chance against those things. Even rockets would be useless. They aren't part of the same order or shared consciousness as us.
プロイキッシャーにとって彼らの世界には存在しないもの、意味がわからないものは触れることなく無賛する。
Ploy kickshaws to the fairy tale monsters. Anything that doesn't exist in their world, anything they don't understand, disintegrates before it can even touch them.
彼らに通じるのは同じ神秘を帯びた魔力だけっていうデタラメぶりよ。もう完全に概念空間っていうか、概念宇宙っていうか。
Only something equally nonsense can touch them, like magical energy infused at the same level of mystics. They exist wholly on their own conceptual space or cosmos.
要するに、あいつらは伝承防御っていう特別なルールを持っていて、単純に強い力、強い魔術じゃ効果は薄いの。元になった童話にちなんだ欠点をつかないと倒せない。
In short, they're protected by a special rule known as folklore defense, meaning that neither the pure force nor strong magecraft would have much effect. They can't be taken down without exploiting the weaknesses found in their original stories.
ギリシャ神話のアキレスあたり分かりやすい例えなんだけど、知ってる？
Are you familiar with the Greek myth of Achilles? It's a good, straightforward example. Sojurouu shook his head. Come on, man. Also, does that imply servants are also, what do they call them? Ploy kickshaws in a way? At the very least, what's their proper name? Extra caster that wasn't the playable caster. fairy tale book. Fuck, whatever. I'm dropping this line of thought.
そう無事帰れたら飛び丸あたりに教えてもらって。定番だけどいい話よあれ。
Of course you aren't. If you get out of this alive, have Tobimar tell you about it. It's a cliche, but it's a good story. Sojurouu was feeling pretty lost, but he did his best to grasp the situation. He thought that ploy kickshaws were scary enough to chase Aoko and the puppet from before out of the house barefoot. Certainly the scene before them was the stuff of nightmares. But Sojurouu had a different way of thinking.
やっぱり青崎の方が怖くないか？
I think you're more scared than I am, Aozaki.
あんた死ぬの？
You wanna die? Sojurouu waved in protest, silently pointing out that she had made his case for him.
あのね、今私たちを取り囲んでるのはおまけに過ぎないの。
Listen to me. The things surrounding us now are little more than fodder.
アリスにとってあのブレッドマンもロブスターもソーセージ屋のミンチマシーンも全部が全部私が撃ってるマダンより価値がない。
As far as Alice is concerned, the breadman, the lobster, the meat mincer at the sausage place, they're all worth less than even my magic bullets are to me.
いい？あの動くマスコットたちはね、ただのおまけなの。アリスが解放した童話の怪物の一呼吸みたいなものなのよ。
Understand? The moving mascots and all the rest are a sideshow. They're nothing more than the breath of the monster she unleashed.
呼吸ってこれが？
These things are just the breath.
私だって考えたくないわよ。
Yeah, crazy, right?
でもそれが現状。たった一体の童話の怪物だけで私たちは手一杯。
But that's just what we're dealing with right now. Just one of those fairy tale monsters is enough to keep us busy.
そういうわけだから、アリスがあと一体でも追加したら諦めて。
So if Alice decides to add another, we may as well just give up. Nursery rhyme. That's the fucking servant's name.
追加ってこれに制限はないのか？
Add another. There's not some sort of limit?
あの子が出し惜しみしなければ、まだ何体かストックはあるでしょうけど。まあ、成立する条件はあるわね。
If she decides not to be stingy, she has a few more up her sleeve. Though, well, there are conditions to bringing them out.
例えば、川がないと目を覚まさない怪物もいる。この遊園地、噴水はあるけど川はないでしょ。元になった童話縛りなの。あの子の使い魔は。
Like, one monster that won't wake up if there's no river nearby. The park is founded, sure, but no river, right? Her familiars are bound by their underlying stories.
童話ってかけそばとか？
By fairy tale, you mean like the one about a bowl of soba noodles?
ここに川がないのは不幸中の幸いね。もしあったら、もっと直接制圧に向いたやつが出てきてた。
Brother is law. Let me tell you, it's a small mercy there's no river here. Otherwise, something way better at squishing us would have appeared by now. Aoko continued, completely ignoring Sojurouu.
話の続きだけど、
Anyway, like I was saying,
アリスの魔術の基本はマザーグースって知らないか。イギリスの歌で遊び心に富んだメルヘンチックな内容よ。
foundation of Alice's magecraft is Mother Goose. Right, you probably wouldn't know that either. Mother Goose is an author of whimsical English nursery rhymes.
ただ、そっち系のプロイキッシャーは怖くないの。
To be honest, this type of ploy kickshaw isn't all that scary.
みんなそれなりになんとか魔術にも落とし込める範囲だから。
Taking them down with some form of magecraft is totally possible.
聞きたくないんだけど、そっち系じゃないの？
I'm kind of afraid to ask, but what about the scary kind then?
マザーグースを下地にしたとある創作童話系。
Follow another fairy tale inspired by Mother Goose.
あの子のお母さんが好きでね。こっち系のはどいつもこいつも尋常じゃない。私たちから見ても勘弁してって言いたくなるわ。
Alice's mother was particularly fond of it, and every single one is bizarre. No mage wants to go up against one of those things. I'm tempted to say, like, Alice's namesake, but I don't think Mother Goose had, like, had a hand in the Alice in Wonderland stuff.
で、この遊園地を生き返らせたのはこっち系よ。
As it happens, that's exactly what brought the park back to life.
多分フラットスナークってやつだと思う。私も聞き流していたから詳しくはわからないけど。
I'm pretty sure it's the one she calls Flat Snark, though I wasn't particularly paying attention, so I'm a little hazy on the details. Sojurouu swallowed the discomfort making its way up his throat. He really wanted her to explain things a little less vaguely. Something she had just said necessitated further investigation.
待てよ青崎。あの子の話を聞き流したって、なんで？
Wait a minute, Aozaki. You mean to tell me you weren't paying attention?
いや、説明してもらったのは随分と前だし、あの頃はアリスの話あんまり信じられなかったのよね。
Well, you know, it was a while back that she explained it all to me, and I didn't really believe everything she had to say around then.
私が素人だと思って大げさに自分の魔術を語ってくれてるな、舐められてるなとか。
I thought maybe she wasn't taking me seriously or talking about her own magecraft, didn't look a newbie. In truth, if anyone hadn't taken the lesson seriously, it was Aoko. She would learn the lesson firsthand soon enough, when she experienced just how real Alice's monsters were. She also discovered how heretical the Meinster witches truly were in the world of magecraft.
その聞き流した内容は？
Can you remember anything else about them?
何でも強力な結界を張るプロイだって。
From what I understand, there's a ploy that puts up a powerful bounded field.
アリスが受け継いだプロイは山ほどあるけど、その中でもえりすぐりの一つよ。
Alice has inherited a lot of ploys, but this is one of her
捨
finest.
てられたもの、忘れられたものを童話的に蘇らせるやつで、今まで誰も破ったことがないとか。
It takes discarded and forgotten things and resurrect them, like what happens in fairy tales. Supposedly, no one's ever beaten it.
それでついたあだ名が触れられぬもの。
Oh, and its nickname is the Untouchable.
フラットスナークじゃないのか？
So it's not this flat snark or whatever it was?
それもあだ名。とにかく正体がわからないやつばっかりなんで、一つの個体に複数の名前が付けられるの。
That's just a nickname too. Since nobody knows what its real form is, it's picked up a few names along the way.
フラットスナークはその中でも正体不明さはトップランクのデタラメぶりよ。
One of them is Flat Snark, and it ranks high among her other nonsense in terms of how little is known about it.
あなた、ルイス・キャロルのスナーク狩りって本知ってる？
Have you ever heard the book The Hunting of the Snark by Lewis Carroll? Brother didn't even know about Achilles. How would he have known about this other book that I don't know about?
いや、そもそもルイス・キャロルというのは。
No, and who is this Lewis Carroll?
そっからか。ドジスン教授はそうね、特殊性癖を持った妄想紳士ってとこ。まあこっちは別にどうでもいいか。人によっては時間の無駄だろうし。
Okay then. Let's start from the beginning. Professor Dodgson was a delusional gentleman with a peculiar disposition. Not that it matters right now. It's a waste of time to explain to some people.
今重要なのは彼が残した著作の方。
What's important is the work he left behind.
スナーク狩りはね、スナークって呼ばれる正体不明の怪物を捕まえようと奔走する冒険家たちの話なの。
The Hunting of the Snark is a book about a band of adventurers who try to capture an unidentified monster known as the Snark.
キャロルらしい、皮肉ばっちり、支離滅裂、意味不明、結末不在の本当に困った本で、一行は島で苦しみつつ、最終的にはスナークを見つけるものの、見つけたベイカーは唐突に姿を消して終わってしまう。
It's very Carol. Satirical, nonsensical, and cryptic. It doesn't even really have an ending either. Though the party does ultimately find the Snark on its island after much hardship, it ends with the protagonist who found it, Baker, suddenly disappearing.
よくわからないもの探しに奔走する人間の風刺なんだけど、この遊園地において誰がベイカーで 何がスナークかは言うまでもないでしょ。
It's a satire about people who run about busily trying to find something they don't understand. But when it comes to the park here, it's pretty clear who the baker is and who the snark is, right? Aoko elected not to share this, but Flat Snark had other popular names as well. The Enigmatic Island, the Five-Dimensional Plane. These names were not given to it by Alice, but rather muttered by mages from whom the Meinsters defeated. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do this animation. OBS hates it. In mathematics, snark is a term used to graph theory rather than contradictory and impossible planar graphs. Let me try that again. In mathematics, snark is a term used in graph theory to refer to contradictory and impossible planar graphs. A plane proven to be unable to exist in the world was given the name, apt for an ill-fated existence paradoxical in nature. The fairy tale monster ascribed this name was said to hold no form discoverable by man. Aoko also declined to mention something else. Flat Snark was a fairy tale monster that could grow. It would hide somewhere in the amusement park, continuously exhaling magical energy until the park was completely transformed into a fantasy land. Okay, please go away, please go away. OBS hates it.
脅かしてもしょうがないし。
Well, it's not like there's any point in scaring him.
何か言ったか？
Did you say something?
別に。簡単に言って、童話世界の再生がフラットスナークの力なの。
Nope. Just thinking. Flat Snark's power is its ability to bring fairy tale worlds to life.
この遊園地との相性は抜群でしょうね。何しろ元々が童話を元にした遊び場だから。
When you think about it, the park makes for a pretty perfect backdrop. I mean, it was originally a playground based in fairy tales anyway. If this had been a business district, for example, Flat Snark would have possessed far less of a threat. At most, its power would have be limited to projecting the shadow of a dinosaur onto a building's window panes.
だからここは安全だって。
Oh, so that's why it's safe. Sojurouu realized that something was wrong when he noticed a glutinous liquid dripping onto his back. Glutinous? Oh my god. He looked up to the ceiling. Their eyes met. Before he had a chance to think, Sojurouu hopped up from the floor. Ozaki, get out now! Taking the initiative, he jumped out from behind the counter. Yeah, sure. We love the cliffhanger. I think we've gotten a little more out of it than we could have. That was an extra, I want to say almost an hour. Place bookmark. Let's do it here. Yes. To the title. Archive CG. Okay, never mind. Well. It's always nice to go back to like a visual novel stream. It's always fun just sit and read and. All right. Well, that should about do it for me today, guys. You all have a lovely rest of your day, rest of your week. Hope you're all taking care of yourselves, and yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.